Hey everybody, it's me, Ethan, and down below me we've got Sakib. We've got another Monopoly AMA going on this week. Hope you've had a great week. Happy Friday to everybody out there, and happy Friday to everybody who's joined us in the Discord. Good to
Happy
see
Friday.
some familiar faces, and I really love to see it when people are early. I'm uh,
Yes.
I'm a big fan of always being early to things and never like feeling like I'm playing catch up for everything.
Yeah.
Sakib and I have just phenomenal things going on in our world, but I kind of wanted to start out today with what happened yesterday.
Hmm.
Yesterday evening, not the primary Monopoly site, but the secondary Monopoly site, suddenly the power went off. And of course, we got a notification from our software that the miners went down. But the really scary thing is the guy on our site said that when he tried to get into the farm area itself, he was getting shocked when he was touching the door. And so that sent my head, spinning in all kinds of ways. So around midnight last night, Sakib hopped in a car and
Yes.
drove I guess you were driving the speed limit because it took you a whole hour to get
One
there, man. you
140.
you didn't do the Ethan 28-minute run. You did the
No,
Sakib, like
I wasn't going slow, but
oh,
I
okay.
wasn't like going above the speed limit.
You weren't you
When
weren't
you
doing the
can.
Ethan, balls out run. Anyway, we get on site only to find out that I guess the site worker, his name is Gulam, and
Yeah.
his control of language is not so good. He's, again, part of our mission with Monopoly was to do humanitarian services for, animals and for people, right? And he was, he's exactly the prime candidate. He's somebody who has no education. When we first met him, he told us that he was 18 years old. He doesn't know when his birthday is. And Sakib's laughing because you look at this guy and he looks as old as me, and he says he's 18. I'm like, you're 18 going on 50, brother. And it's just because he comes from a place in the world where they don't have education, where things like birthdays and stuff like that, they're not important. They aren't even celebrated. He doesn't even know his date of birth, and so we figured out he's what, like 38. That's his real age, Sakib.
Yeah. Yeah. 38.
So when he's talking about things or trying to explain things, even in his own native language, he doesn't have a good
Mhm.
command. He doesn't have a good vocabulary. And I guess what he was trying to explain was the sound he was hearing, and not that he
Yeah.
was actually experiencing a shock. He was trying to explain
Exactly.
that he was hearing like the sound of electricity buzzing. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, it scared the bejesus out of me and Sakib. And as it turned out, they were just simply doing some work on the lines in the area, and they had cut off one of the phases of power. And we have three-phase fans working in our operations. And so when one of the phases is cut off, the fans stop working. And the
Right.
box that controls the relays for the fans, obviously because it's looking for a balanced load, will start buzzing and, making some ugly sounds because it's not getting all the power it needs. Um, but yeah, we got everything sorted out, and then about what 2:30 a.m. you headed back after we
Yeah.
very carefully checked, over everything because I was like, he's getting shocked trying to come into the building. That's a really bad, that's like massive power cables have melted and are shorting out against metal, and like that's scary, scary
Yeah.
stuff. But fortunately, none of that stuff happened. None of that went on. Everything's back up and running. Everything's fine now. And what Sakib and I have decided to do is we're going to implement a circuit breaker that
Hmm.
most circuit breakers, you've got to understand, they look for two things. They look for over amperage or over voltage. And in either of those two situations, they will then break. They'll disconnect. That's what they're designed to do.
Yeah.
But they're your standard breaker isn't designed to look for a phase being shut off. So if it's a three-phase breaker and one of the phases gets cut, while they're working on the lines outside, it's not designed to detect that, or the standard breakers aren't. But there are breakers they make that are designed to detect that event and to shut off if one phase is detected to be way out of whack or completely cut off or powered down. It'll shut down all three phases. And so we've decided to implement those breakers into all of our build outs because I don't know what's going to, I guess it's tis the season, Sakib, because the weather is cool and now's the time to like do all the work and
Yeah.
you know, get everything you need done, right? You know, you got a choice. You can do it now in the wintertime when it's nice and cool, or you can do it in the summertime when it's blistering hot. And I guess that's what they're doing. They're just going through the area, doing maintenance and upgrades and things like that. And so, yeah, we haven't experienced this before. The power wasn't off for very long. It was off for maybe an hour. But
Or yeah.
nonetheless, it's just not good to leave those fans trying to draw from two phases or even one phase, you know, beating into that panel, you know, trying to get the power. So it's better that we just kind of shut everything down in the event that, you know, they have to cut one of the phases and work on it. And then, you know, the breaker is really cool. It's a smart breaker. So it will detect when the power's been restored and it'll power back on. So looking forward to implementing that into the new build we're doing for Rope and his project. If any of you guys are involved with that, I highly recommend that you tell other people about your experience. We definitely want to see him succeed and that do well. And in other good news, you guys have heard of NiceHash. NiceHash is the pool that we use to basically do all of our mining with. It's one of the best pools out there. And recently, there's been a changing of the guard at NiceHash. We've heard an announcement that the CEO has stepped down, and we've also seen some other members step down, members that we were close with. And we were very lucky to have a meeting with some of these members. I can't name names, but to find out not only is NiceHash doing really, really well and they're thriving, but that, you know, some other things are growing in our industry, better opportunities even than what NiceHash has. And that's why some of these key members from NiceHash have stepped aside and decided to go to these other projects. And with these other projects, they have tapped the shoulder of myself and Sakib and saying, hey, we need you guys to build out mining operations for us. And what is it, 30 megawatts coming down the pipeline, Sakib?
30 megawatts. Yeah, that's correct.
Which is,
4,500, you know, S19 hydros.
yeah, 4,500 S19 hydros, which is kind of my style. This is my level of where I like to be in the industry. So really happy to be working with that and be a part of that project. I wish I could tell you more, but non-disclosures are getting signed any moment now. Sakib, did they send their non-disclosure to you?
No, I sent mine to them, and
Oh,
their
you sent ours to
CEO is,
them? Okay.
yeah,
So
their
yeah,
CEO is going to be
yeah,
soon.
all exciting news, all good things happening. I see Sky Traveler is typing a message. Long time no see, Sky. How are you doing, man?
Doing
Fantastic.
great.
Yeah, good morning to you as well. Let's see. Anything else going on?
Well, I mean, we could start talking about Bitcoin and the little correction that we spoke about last week, and it is currently underway.
Yeah, let's change gears here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for you guys in Discord, and I'll also change it here on for the YouTube recording so you can see that better. And I'll switch this over, and we'll go to my chart of charts. And yeah, it looks like everything is down. Um, what do you think is causing the downward pressure, Sakib? I mean, other than it's just challenging this support here that we've defined. But you
Yeah, I
know,
mean,
why are the markets hollow? You
well, obviously there's kind of like a sell the news type of event. Everyone was hyped you know, the ETF, and now that the ETF is here, it's kind of like, you know, what are you gonna do now? And more than that, I think the technicals drive the news. So the technicals say that we're due for a correction to test support levels, and that's important in any bull run. If you look, you know, in the past, we've always had like 20-30% corrections, even in the height of the bull.
so you think that all of this is just everybody liquidating out of their ETFs speculation?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And the real question is, if we break this resistance, what do you think the next steps are? If we break the resistance, I'll kind of zoom out a little bit more here.
My thoughts are, if we break this level, then we're gonna visit the 31, between 31 and 35K. So there's some support at 35K. If we break that, then at
Yeah, I did.
31K.
Yeah, I did notice that. That was defined right around here, but I don't see it as strong. I think we will push down to the 31K. What does this
Mhm.
mean for the mining industry as a whole when the halvening comes if we're in the 31K region?
Well, it's going to be a lot of added pressure. I mean, first of all, you're having curtailment issues in Texas where, they're being forced to shut off their miners. Um, and now, you're also having price that's going down right before the halvening. I think that it's going to continue until a little bit after the halvening. We're going to go, down maybe the 31, then
Well,
sideways
we always
before.
talked about the catastrophic event that if we did not stay above the 43,000 region, that
Mhm.
80% of the mining power out there would not be profitable. They would be losing money. They would have to unplug. And this would be
Mhm.
phenomenal for us because then the difficulty would drop and we would get substantially more rewards. So
Yeah.
I'm still saying that is on the table. Unless we break clear of 50,000 and stay above it, I'm saying that that doomsday scenario is still on the table. And again, all good news for us, bad news for the majority of the industry. 70, 80% will not be able to do that. It says, I think all the Texas pubs were told overnight they could go back online. Um, Iowa has asked for additional 72 hours of downtime for miners. Yeah, so interesting time, interesting season. What's going on? This is pretty normal for the curtailment
Yeah.
side of Bitcoin. The reason why they get phenomenally low rates is because they do curtailment, which again, it's all good
Yeah.
news for us, right?
I mean, we don't have any curtailment. we we're grid
Well,
power.
we've got AADC just saying, okay, we're going to cut the line and we're not even going to tell anybody. That's our curtailment, but it's nothing like what's
Yeah.
going on in their space.
I mean, that might be an hour, but for miners in Texas and Iowa, that could be days or months.
Yeah, they can go offline for days, right?
Hmm.
And we had another person in our group ask about, how do you find the fees? And I highly recommend mempool.space. It's where I
Yeah.
go to get real time information on how much in fees for each block. And when I go to send everybody their payouts at the beginning of the month, this is what I use to kind of gauge when to send the payouts. I wait for this number to drop as low as possible, and then I hit the send button and cross my fingers that it doesn't go up.
Yeah. I mean, unless you have someone just adding fees on top of, the block, thinking that it's going to solve faster,
Hmm.
it usually completes.
Well, I've
We
noticed, here's what I've
mhm.
noticed. Each one of these blocks, in theory, should take 10 minutes to solve. But as you can see here, this one was solved 2 hours ago. This one was solved 2 hours ago. This one was solved a little over an hour ago. This one solved pretty quickly, about 44 minutes in between it. And this one solved just 7 minutes ago. And so the longer, like these blocks that waited for a long time to solve, they got higher fees. But see, these two blocks solved really quickly within each other. So you can see the fees are really low. So the
Yeah.
longer this block will sit here, right? So it's now 7 minutes. If it sits here past 10 minutes, the fees start going up higher and higher and higher because people foolishly believe that if I pay a higher fee, then it's going to make the block solve faster. But really, what you want to look at is this top number, all right, which is 80 sats per byte. And as long as you don't go above this top number, you will stay in this block. So as long as everybody, trying to do a transaction does not go higher than this number, they will stay in this block. These people that paid 637 sats instead of 81 sats, they just wasted that. Anything above 81 was not needed. They're completely in the block at 81. And 81, by the way, is the average. So the low, the majority of people are paying 70 Satoshis. And then these few people that put these extremely high fees, they're the ones that are blowing up the fees in the blocks. And it's completely unnecessary. All you have to do is go to mempool.space, look at what the average is, and put in the same amount as your average. And as long as everybody else does the same, the average won't go up higher and you'll be in that block and you'll process. But these crazy people that put in, 637 sats is the top for this one. The previous block was 1,361. The previous to that one is 1,488. These people, they're just throwing away their Bitcoin. It's completely not needed. It's completely unnecessary. And ultimately what it does is it pushes everybody out. So it'll start pushing, these average people, these people that did 70 sats per, you know,
To the next one.
yeah, it'll push them to the next block, which is fine because if the next block solves fast enough, then you're good, you're golden. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is what's going on fundamentally, and the only thing I can chalk it up to is just inexperience. Yeah, look at this guy, 637. Like, what's he thinking? Like only a
Needs a
noob would
normal
pay that much. So, um,
we're not going to complain because as
no,
miners,
we all those excess fees they go to us as the miners. So I'm not going to complain, but if anybody's wondering, like, hey, what the heck's going on? That's what's going on. Is
yeah,
that people are doing this behavior, and until they stop doing this behavior, the fees will continue to go up astronomical. Now, what I've found is, the noobs tend to operate within certain time frames. So at certain
yes,
times
exactly.
during the day, I can go in here and I can get that 40 sats per ter or yeah, 40 sats per byte fees.
Hmm.
And so what I've been doing is I've just been cherry picking the right times, which are usually the mornings, my time,
Yeah,
to get these transactions out and to get it with the low fees.
that's a smart way to do it.
Hi, Rebel. Good to see you again. Yeah, as always,
Well,
great to see everybody here. And again, hope you're having a great weekend, a great beginning of the weekend, wonderful Friday. I know Sakib and myself, we didn't get much sleep last night, so we were definitely looking forward to this weekend.
yeah.
And
I think that another thing that we could mention is the network hash rate did go down about 30%, but the difficulty, because the difficulty adjusts, I believe every 2,000
yeah, it adjusts
blocks.
every certain number of blocks. So we have to wait till it gets to the next adjustment point before that is seen, before that is realized. And that might be why it's taking so long. Because the space between this block and that, okay, see how that block went really fast? So it didn't even get a chance to get the fees like up crazy high.
Yeah,
Yeah, so when we get a situation like that, and that just kind of depends on luck of the draw, that's when we're in a situation where we can get a transaction through with relatively low fees. So you can see the previous transaction was 125 sats per byte. The one before that was 167, but this one went for nearly half of that. Well, pretty much exactly half of that. And it's because it didn't sit around. And like I said, the problem is the longer these blocks sit, the more people start throwing money at them, thinking that the money is, the Bitcoin is going to make it solve faster, and it has absolutely nothing to do with that. A block solves when a block solves, and as we could see just before your very eyes, in this video, this block almost solved instantly after this block, like
the
barely a
only
minute
thing
went
they
by.
can secure, the only thing they can secure is that they'll be in the block
They'll be
that'll
in that
solve
block, but
next.
all they need to do to secure that is just to be at the average,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
They
And
don't.
not mess up the average, right? So, if you want to throw 1,000, somebody threw 1,361 sats to do a transaction in this block. It's ridiculous. Like
Hmm.
all you needed to do was pay 65 and you're within the average. And as long as everybody else stays within the average doesn't go up and you don't get pushed out of the block. So yeah, eventually people are going to learn this, and I hope you guys will learn this faster than everybody else. But fundamentally, you don't need to change the average. You just need to stay within the average, and as long as everybody else behaves the same, it's fine. You're going to be on this block, and you're going to go through. It's pretty simple, pretty
Exactly.
straightforward. Yeah, always interesting stuff, fascinating stuff. Looking at that, I wanted to talk about miner pricing.
Hmm.
And I guess one of the things that's really impressed me is last year at this time, was that the bottom? Yeah, that around this time was the Bitcoin bottom last year. And we were seeing prices for S19s at what, 1420 a terahash is what we were selling them.
Yeah, much
And
higher than they are.
yeah, now S19s, like even the K Pros, they're still less. And these machines are way better than the
Yeah,
S19s, the regular
way
S19s.
more.
And they're still less than we were when we were at the bottom. And we're now back up in the $40,000 region, which is double what we were at the
Hmm.
bottom, right? So I'm very impressed with just how stable the pricing has been so far. But we know eventually it's going to get crazy. We know eventually it's going to get out of hand. And I don't even see any S19s. Are S19s not on the market anymore, Sakib?
You can find like the S19 90Ts, but they're not very efficient, and
I, I
people
guess
prefer
nobody's
mostly.
even interested in picking them up anymore except for the hydro versions.
Yeah, because they know that after the halving, they're not going to be profitable at anything
So they've
above
just
5 cents
been
per
pretty
kilowatt.
much discontinued off the market. And
Mhm.
here's something interesting. What I look for when I'm looking to buy a machine on the market is I'm looking for two things.
Efficient.
One, I'm looking for the efficiency, right? And we can see that the S21s are hands down the most efficient machines on the market. But I'm also looking at the price per terahash. So I'm looking at
Yeah,
this value proposition. What gives me the most efficiency at the lowest price per terahash? And hands down, the winner,
19K Pro.
S19K Pro. I mean, there's just nothing on the market. This is kind of a game changer
Hmm.
in terms of just its value proposition. I don't think I've ever seen in my tenure in
Hmm.
the mining space, in the brokering space, a value proposition like this. I want to go
Yeah,
back.
a miner that is like on in the top, top five most efficient miners, but it's still going for like almost half the price of what the S21 is going for.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look, at the S21, it's $26 a terahash. And if you're willing to step up, what is this? It would be 2.5, 3 plus 3, so 5 watts a terahash is the differential.
Yeah,
5.5, something like that.
like
If you're willing to
5.5.
step up just 5.5 watt, well, what we're finding with the S19K Pros that we got for the Mineopoly project is they're actually over hashing. So every one of these units that we bought that was rated at 115, I mean, every single one of them, we'll kind of pull
Yeah.
this up here real quick too. We go to the miners monitoring, we'll go to the on shelf, and we'll look at real time what every single one of these are doing. And let me kind of scroll this over here. So the real time hash rate on this one: 118.9, 117.25, 116.1, 119. Like every single one of these down the list is above spec. So the theoretical spec is 115, and every single one of these is doing above spec. I don't think I've found a single one that is doing
Mhm.
below spec.
And we didn't even have to overclock
We
or
haven't even
anything like that.
overclocked them. Like this one's doing 120. Wait a minute, this one's down right now, but they do that. They fluctuate. They go up and
Yeah.
down, but its average is 117. So on average, each one of these machines that we got for the Monopoly project are doing about 2 terahash over. I'll to be on the safe side, 1.5 terahash over what they're spec'd, and they're also
At the
keeping
same
that
time.
super crazy excellent efficiency at the same time doing that. And that's the first time ever in my history of mining that I've ever seen it. Like in mining, if you're like within 1% of what's promised, then that's good. That's a good machine. That's a keeper, right? If you're, below 5% of what's promised, then that's a problem child. You maybe need to look at replacing a hash board or replacing some chips, or even just kind of like, even if it's stable as a rock, you just kind of maybe want to sell it and, replace it with another machine that's hashing. And that's the normal for our industry.
Hmm.
I have never seen machines like that. These things are beasts. Um,
Yeah.
cannot speak highly enough about them. And like I said, the proof is in the pudding. Like you can see the numbers in real world for yourself right here. I'll kind of even zoom in for everybody. Um, I don't know if I can.
Scroll. Yeah.
Yeah, it won't. It
Scroll.
won't. The scroll disappears when I zoom in too
Oh,
much. But yeah, I mean, you can see for yourself. 115 is what it says it should do, and this one's doing 120, which is like 5 terahash over. 115 is what it says it should do. This one's doing 118 right now. 115, 118, 115, 115, 6, 115, 116, 2. And it just goes on and on and on. This is like very, very consistently, all of them are outperforming their specs. And that kind of excites me to when we get to a point to overclock, because that tells me that there's a lot of headroom. Like we should be able to get these up to maybe 130 even before, we should be able to safely get these all up to 130. If we decide to overclock, that's not necessarily my decision, but yeah, phenomenal performance on this model. Bitmain really went above and beyond. And so when you factor that in on top of that, that makes the value proposition of the price per terahash even better. Because you're actually getting more terahash than what you're paying for. You're paying for a stock standard, in this case, 110 terahash. But realistically, this thing's going to do 110 or 112, 113 maybe even. And, you're getting some of the most efficient machines on the market. So we really did really well with the S19K Pros. And like I said, those are a game changer in the market. All of our feedback and all of our vendors are saying like the S19K Pros are flying off the shelf, and there's a
Like
reason
they're
why that's
selling out.
happening.
I mean, most people are taking them and overclocking them from the get-go, but we obviously don't want to do that. We want to
Well,
wait until the
at least
manufacturer.
until a reasonable amount of the warranty period is burned out. We know that there's no defects. We flushed out any possible defects. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot like that
Exactly.
and overclock them from day one, because as soon as they're overclocked, the warranty's gone, right? And we
Of course.
just changed out a bunch of fans for the M50s. Well, not a bunch, but just three.
Which is free.
But
Free.
those are covered under warranty, so we can take those broken fans to the repair center and we can say, hey, these are the fans we replaced. Can you give us a credit back for them? Or at least do a one-to-one exchange is what I'm thinking, Sakib.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
we
at
can
least
just
give
we
us
can
some.
just trade in those fans, because we know other fans are going to fail eventually somewhere. It's a given, right? It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
When. Yeah, I mean, we're directly connected to What's Miner, so we can definitely talk to them about that. You know, I'm sure they understand that we don't want downtime taking it to and from the repair center and waiting for the repair center to
You know what?
replace
I
the
was
fan.
thinking like they could give us money, but let's just do that. Let's just swap the fans out for fan for a fan, so
Exactly.
we've just got more reserves, right? Makes sense to me.
Hmm.
But yeah, guys, you know, I, I I usually don't speak well of Bitmain. I've been known in the past to be very critical, but if they continue on this path with the S19K Pro and further with the S21 series, um, then they will begin to make a believer. Let me put it this way: I won't be swayed that quickly, but they will begin to make a believer out of me. And yeah, just amazing, amazing machines.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, I
wanted,
mean the M50s that we have, those are pretty reliable too.
they're
The
tanks.
only thing they're tanks. The only negative thing I would say about them is that the efficiency is 1 watts per terahash higher than what is advertised.
Yeah,
So I
so
think they
they're
were
supposed to be 28 watts a terahash, and they're actually doing 29 watts a terahash. And they're more in line. Let's see if I can bring that up. Let's see if I can pull up our remote site, Sakib,
yeah, perfect.
and just bring that up to show you guys like this is what we would normally expect, right? So I'll pull this up and I'll go to our Mineopoly site workstation here, which is online. We'll let this load up for you guys. And I'll put in the secret code. And we can
I'm
see right
sure
here.
someone's gonna laugh at the username.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can see, these are rated at 118 terahash, and it looks like actually we're getting some good averages here. Let me just scroll through here. So for the most part, everything is just slightly above what it's rated at. But if we look, at the efficiency, 29.55, 29.1, see 28.66. I mean, I guess theoretically that could fall under 28, but the majority of them are, 29 plus. And, this is 29 plus and just giving us just a tiny half a terahash. Let me zoom into this in case you guys
Yeah,
don't know. I
we
don't know
can't
if I
really
can
see it.
zoom. I can't zoom in on a.
Oh,
I don't think I can
okay.
zoom in on. Yeah, it won't. It won't zoom in on the remote
I can
desktop.
barely make it out. I can still make it out.
You can still make it out. Okay. I guess what's really critical is looking at the environmental temps, and you can see we're all underneath the 35 degrees Celsius spec there. Looking at the hashboard temps, nice and cool. Nothing's overheating, nothing's getting too hot. But yeah, it looks like we got some error codes. What are these? These are the low hash, please reboot things. These kind of just pop on and off throughout the day for just no real apparent reason. Like the hash rate is always fine. And let's
Yeah.
see, we've got some 264, 255. So we got a control board and like a power input voltage table. And these things kind of drop in and drop out. But as you can see,
The
these
dummy
things have
error.
been running solid for 5 days. Like we did a massive reboot. Well, like, okay, this one
Mm,
ran, look, this one didn't even reboot. It's like 21
yeah,
days.
yeah, that was the one that didn't reboot. All the other ones were,
All the other ones
had to.
responded to the
Yeah,
reboot command, but this one didn't. But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, this is what we would expect. We would expect either just at or just a little tiny bit over, um, the hash rate that's promised, and clearly the Bitmain ones are doing way beyond that, and it adds up, folks. You add up a terahash or 2 terahash times 20. That's 40 terahash extra
yeah.
that's added to the pool. That's earning that we're not
Almost half a
getting
million.
with the What's miners that we're getting with the S19K Pros. So those are
Yeah,
awesome. All right, I
exactly.
think yeah. Where are we in time here? We're at 8:30. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a really long or drawn out AMA. Unless you guys have some questions, I'd like to open things up. Does anybody have any questions?
Please let us know in the chat. I mean, Ethan and I are both lacking a little bit of sleep today, but we're
Yeah, our
definitely
brains just aren't
gonna.
working as good as normal. When somebody tells me they're getting shocked at one of my sites, that sends off all kinds of like fear and adrenaline running through my veins. And yeah, at midnight when I get that kind of flight or fright kind of situation going, it's hard for me to wind back down and go to sleep, especially when we really didn't know like what was going on. And when he said like
Yeah,
there was a burning smell, and I was just like, oh dear, like I was
yeah.
thinking
That was
dead
like,
chicken in the power room kind of thing.
I mean, when we got over there, first thing we checked was the
Yeah.
transformer fuses, and the transformer fuses were fine. And then we went into the power room, and everything looked fine over there. And we went to the mining room, and we just
Well, I
checked the
told you
connection.
like first things first, coming on the property, check the transformer, look to see if any
Yeah,
fuses are blown, and then I said, show me a video of the transformer. Is there any smoke coming out of it? Is there any oil or anything leaking out of it? It looked perfectly fine. And then I said, okay,
yeah.
go to the power room. Let's check that out. I don't know. I guess I'll. We're not used to this kind of stuff happening. Like everything has been super stable and so reliable. We're not used to these events happening, and so it just really kind of freaks me out. Sky Traveler saying, when is the next crypto event in Dubai? Blockchain scheduling.
That's blockchain. Hold
Yeah,
on,
see
I
if
have
you
an email.
can dig that up, Sakib. And it says, I was curious. I know it's a ways out, but what is our target multiple for when we sell our miners? And that's a great question. Typically, what would you say, Sakib? A minimum
Well,
at
it's
least
usually
8x.
between 4 to 8x, depending on what Bitcoin does,
I
I'd
would
say.
say
Minimum.
minimum 8x, man, because we were seeing like S9s, we were seeing them sell like
Yeah,
$8 go to $500 a
true.
terahash.
Yeah.
I would say minimum 8, let's shoot for 10 and above. You know,
Yeah.
and I think you
I
guys
mean,
ended up like all in paying like, I don't know, like $20 a terahash. I think that was like the miner plus the infrastructure and everything if you broke it all down.
hmm
Um, So, you know,
phenomenal
right
deal.
now, currently, let's take a look at what the market's doing. I'm like I said, the market's really stable right now, but the M50, you know, yeah, okay, they're a little bit low, and the reason why they're low is because the S19K Pros came in. But here's the thing to that is the S19K Pros have now been all sold out, so they're all now pre-orders. And so what'll happen in
Yes.
the bull run is these all get stuck in pre-orders, and everybody's like, you know, hey, I'm losing money every day, and then this is going to blow up that price. So I mean, it would not surprise me if we hit $80 a terahash.
Can we go to the Luxor hash rate
Oh
index
yeah, let's do
review on,
that.
so that way people can kind of see what
What
happened in
is
the
it?
last bear
Yeah,
market?
hashrateindex.com. Let's take a look here. We'll look at and let's see. This is ASIC. No, this is ASIC prices. This is
ASIC
hash
index
price.
data here. I'll share it. It's the ASIC index data.
It's the
Let me
ASIC
just
index. Okay, so it's a different.
yeah, I just shared it in the chat here,
Which chat?
the
Okay, here we
Discord.
go. All right. Alrighty, and let's go to all time so we can look at this. Now, I would say we have the second gen inefficiency
Mm-hmm.
compared to what's coming on the market. So we
Yeah,
would be
with the end,
somewhere in this. We'd be $118 a terahash, I think, at the peak.
which is about well, it's like, I think almost 8x.
Well, didn't we make a sheet? I thought we made like a worksheet for Mineopoly. Let's see. We had the
I think there was
influencer
a
sheet. Yeah, didn't we
profitability
have a
sheet.
profitability calculator that like told
Yeah,
people all
yeah.
this stuff?
Yep.
Sakib, if you can
Let
get the
me
link for that, if for some reason it's not in my links here.
oh, sure, sure.
If you can get the link for that, let's go over that and let's talk about this, you know, using real world numbers and real world examples.
Here we go. Monopoly hash result calculation. Pull that up here and share. Yeah, I'm on the UAE VPN. It's
Yeah, I'm on the UA
a little.
VPN as well, and it seems to be working really good.
Oh, I mean, video is working great. Browsing sometimes gets a little bit slow.
The
A Google
browsing
Doc.
sucks. It's a little. It's still really fast for me.
Okay. Yeah, I shared the link
Okay,
in the
let's
Discord.
pull this up because you guys should have all been looking at this anyway. You know, before you even got an NFT, you should have been running the scenarios. All right, so price of BTC when sold, I think we're gonna break 500K. So I'm just gonna put in 500K. And then price per terahash that the miners sell for. And if we look at the hash rate or the ASIC index here, yeah, I think let's just do it 100. Let's just be safe. You know, I think 100
Sure.
is $100. Yeah, so there you go, guys. I mean, your realistic and this is what I actually said is the realistic scenario is
Mhm.
$8,900 per NFT is what your total
You mind
yield will
zooming
be.
in?
Yeah.
Mind zooming in a little bit on that?
Oh,
So
okay. Oh, sorry. Here, let me. Actually, you know what? I need to also change it on here so everybody can see, and I'll also zoom in. Can everybody see that okay and clearly?
looks perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so if you bought one NFT And the price of BTC when you decide to sell your BTC is 500,000, which I think we're going to surpass. The price per terahash is also being conservative at $100. Your amount of BTC earned over the life of this period would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 0.0147. And that would have a liquid USD capital value of $8,700, which would give you a monthly yield of approximately, and again, this is a retro calculation, of approximately 67%.
And I know that 500K might seem crazy, but we've seen Bitcoin do,
Well, let
like,
me put it this way: we're not being tapped on the shoulders, and you guys can run the numbers. I don't want to blow anybody out here, but you guys can run the
this is
numbers.
just
S21,
estimate.
and they wanted the 200 terahash, or they wanted the
The
335 terahash.
335 terahash, yes.
All right, hold on
Hydro.
just a second. Let me let this cat outside because he's just annoying the crap out of me.
Yes, the Excel does include the profits from selling the miners. It's a combination of your accumulated rewards. So takes it's basically saying that you accumulate all the rewards that you've mined, plus you make the share from when we liquidate the miner.
Okay, so let's just take the S21, the most expensive one that we have here. Okay, and it's at $5,200, and that's not including shipping. We multiply that times 4,500. All right, that's $23 million, folks. All right, if Bitcoin is not going to go to 500K, that's a huge gamble. But this is real money. This is real money and that's not including what it costs to do the build outs and all the other stuff. So you can pretty much double that price and get an idea of how much money is being spent on this project for 30 megawatts. So if Bitcoin is not going to 500K, then how come a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company is willing to invest this much money into it?
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, to the people laughing at the 500K mark, like, when you're a multi-billion-dollar company and you're spending this kind of money, you're not spending it just frivolously. You're spending it because you've got the quantitatives that have figured out the math and understand how it's going to happen. So I don't have to understand clearly how it's going to happen. I don't even really care to understand how it's going to happen. I just trust billion-dollar money and know that they're not going to waste that money. It's just common sense to me.
Well, I mean, of course, we also have our historical indicators like the stock to flow and things. I mean, yeah, but don't get me wrong, we could have a black swan event. Like you never really know for 100% certain, what BTC is going to be. But looking at all the historical indicators, looking at, the amounts that huge companies are investing into the space, looking at the Bitcoin ETF, the liquidity cycle, all of these things together, that's what, we see is a around 100K Bitcoin, top of the cycle.
I think it's going to go way above 500K, man. Looking at the stock to flow, again, we're kind of getting into la la land territory, but I definitely know it's going to break 500K. Now, the thing that's important to remember, we look at historical bull runs, it doesn't stay there, okay? When it goes to 600, 700, 800K, it doesn't stay there. It's going to hit that in one day, and then it's going to deep dive down. So you've got to be very strategic when you get out and make sure you set that limit sell and you sell when it hits on that day, and then wash your hands of it. You're never going to hit the perfect top. You're never going to hit the perfect bottom. But if we can get plus or minus 10%, Sakib,
Yeah,
I'll be very
I would say
happy.
10 to 20%. Yeah,
If
10
we
to
can,
20%.
yeah, and 500K is definitely going to be within the 10% mark of the top. Um, so again, nothing crazy here, guys. Like, we're speaking from years and years of experience, and from what we're seeing from behind the scenes, we're seeing heavy money, heavyweight baller, beyond baller money pouring into this industry, and they believe in it. So whether you believe in it or not, they believe in it, and they are the ones that have the most power and influence to protect their interest, right? If you buy one Bitcoin, you just hold one Bitcoin, right? You don't have enough money to pay off lobbyists. You don't have any money to influence politics. You don't have any money to go, court cases against the SEC. You don't have any power to do any of that. But these guys have that power. They have that level of monetary resources, and yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
just common
we've
sense to
never
me to
had
believe in it.
I mean, we've never had that before. We've never had institutional, like institutions like BlackRock and all these guys,
Yeah,
you know,
$1 trillion funds,
promote
like
Bitcoin,
they're not
promote
going to let their
Bitcoin.
money get wasted. Like, come on, man. When was the last time J.P. Morgan Chase lost out? you know,
Yeah.
when was it? Yeah, I mean, you name any one of the big ones. Like Morgan Stanley, J.P. Morgan Chase. Go on. Oppenheimer funds. Like, tell me when they just, oh, we really screwed the pooch on that one. Now, there was the whole real estate debacle, right? And that was
Mhm.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all that stuff. But I mean, other than that, and they were just even then they got bailed out. If you
Mhm.
look at the movie The Big Short, like you can see at the end, he's like, they knew it. They knew
Mhm.
it. They knew it, and they just didn't care. That's how it ends. I love how that movie ends because they knew exactly
Yeah.
what they're doing. They just didn't care, and they knew the government would bail them out. Um,
They, they knew they were too big to fail,
yeah,
so
yeah. I
the
mean,
government
you,
would have
you
to
think
step
you
in.
think these guys are gonna let their money get just wasted, like thrown in a blender? No.
No.
So yeah, they don't need you to believe. So it doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. They believe in it, and that's all that I care about. But yeah, I mean, that's spot on with the realistic middle of the road scenario. Again, if we kind of take these numbers up a tick, and we let's say we catch the perfect top at 800K, and things are just chomping so hard at the bit that we can do $150 per terahash. Then you're looking at $13,785 return for a single NFT. And if you bought, at the final tranche, $500, I don't even think Wall Street. I don't know of anything that can give you that kind of return on $500. Keith, do you know anything where?
No,
I mean, other than mining, right?
that's pretty much it. Um, and there's something important I think to note that what we would probably do is you might liquidate your Bitcoin at the top or near the top, and the miners, obviously, it'll be put to a vote to the community. But
Well, it
the
depends on where
miners
it is in
usually,
time,
yeah, yeah. I
right?
mean, the miners usually peak out. They usually peak a little bit after the Bitcoin price peak, so they're
Mm-hmm.
like a lagging.
Yeah,
They have like a
yeah. The miner
lagging. Yeah,
pricing is always even at the bottom. We're at the bottom of Bitcoin, but they're still selling for 1420, 1450. A terahash.
exactly. So right
And
now
these,
they're
yeah.
still lagging. Like we're like 30% in the bull market, whereas the miners are still like way in like the lows of the bear market.
Yeah. So please give us a warning. Yeah, of course, that we've been saying that all along since the beginning of this project. That's what we intend to do. That's what we plan to do. We plan to counsel and advise you, so we can all make an informed decision that's mutually beneficial for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have weekly AMAs, and for the next
Yeah, it was
almost
we got probably about what, like 120 some odd AMAs to go. Right, like 10 down, 120 more to go, guys.
says we can just buy more miners to continue, right?
As we explained many, many times over in this project, this will be the first and the last of the project. Originally, we intended, if we got up to at least 1 megawatt worth of machines, that we were going to
Hmm.
sell the miners, and then we were going to reinvest. Well, we wouldn't reinvest the capital, but we would restart the project over again and allow you guys an opportunity to reinvest your capital and then go on into perpetuity. But we will not be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of our way of giving back to the community, giving back
Yeah.
to the hobby miner out there who wants to mine at absorbently low power costs. Uh, and
I mean,
Ethan and I were talking
yeah.
about like how much more Bitcoin we get to keep. You guys get to keep more Bitcoin than like the biggest miners in the
Then
world,
people that
you
have
know,
like 20 megawatts worth of mining, like at the end of the day, you guys are keeping more in your wallets than what they're keeping. Um,
per terahash. Yeah.
yeah, per terahash. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about this. All I can say is I don't think any other project out there, with the antimony or, whatever, I don't think anything else even remotely compares to what we offered. I don't think anybody did it nearly as fast as we did it or as efficient as we did it. And on the one hand, I'm sad that it didn't get the attention that these other projects that I feel are just an absolute total failure. Um, but I did my best.
Yeah.
I paid $30,000 out of my own capital to promote and market for this, and I got nothing but headaches. And then people trying to pit me against other startups. Like, I'm a CEO of multinational companies all around the world. Like, I don't need to be in that petty stuff. I'm not a petty person. I'm not going to let people put me into petty things. But you can't cry over spilled milk, guys. You guys got in, so just be happy with that. Be happy with what you've got. Like, I wish this could have gotten much bigger than it did. And who knows? Maybe in the next bear market, Sakib and I will get really bored and we'll say, hey, let's
Let's
do
do
a
my
whitelist or something like that. And we'll leave it up to you guys. Like, I don't even want to pay for influencers this next round. Like, I just want all
no.
grassroots. I'll pay for my own private marketing, I'll do my own influencing. But yeah, let's just see what grassroots can produce. And, you guys will be our best ambassadors because you'll be like, yeah, I paid $500 last time and now I got, 8K.
Yeah.
Dark Lord's like, we will buy all the NFTs. Um, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I can say I did my best and I did it without lying. I did it without cheating. I did it without being unrealistic. And, I did it while doing things for you guys too. Because, Winston, Sky, you came here to Dubai. You got to hang out with me. We had a wonderful dinner together and you got to see mining farms. You got to be a part of,
Those blockchain.
operations. Nobody else has done that. Nobody else has done that for the
No.
audience. Nobody else is, even taking the time to, for me, I work for you guys, right?
Yeah.
I work for you guys, and I should be doing everything in my power to enable you guys to thrive and succeed from this project. That is my goal. That is my purpose. And I can honestly say I did that. And I can honestly
Yeah.
say other projects are not doing that for their general audience. They're not doing that the way that I have.
Yeah, I mean, we're continuing to do that on a day-to-day basis. I mean, if, for example, last night I went out there at 12 a.m., got back at 3 a.m. Just to make sure that you guys are still up and mining, you know.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. That's
and
dedication, man. Most people would just sleep through that and say, oh, I'll take care of it in the morning. But not me and Sakib. No, we were up until wee hours in the morning. Not just because we wanted to make sure you guys are up and hashing, but we just wanted to make sure that everything was safe. That was my big thing is, if there's a fire, I want fire, people on site. If somebody's getting electrocuted, I don't want that to happen. So, we're
well,
just, yeah.
and the major difference is like, that's what you can do when you have your own operation. You're not like outsourcing it to someone else,
Right.
like,
Then we would have just
911.
have to make a phone call to somebody else and they say, oh, we'll take a look at it in the morning. And then we'd have to make up some BS story to you guys like, oh, 50% of the miners we got straight from the manufacturer are broken and we got to find somebody to come fix them. Like, like we'd have to make up some, oh, a plane crashed next to the site and it took out the power and we'll just have to wait until, like you look on the news, like there's no plane crash there, like what the hell? Like, Just some of these stories that are made up and concocted. Um, what disappoints me at the most is like when this started, it could have just been ignorance because ignorance is bliss. Like that. Now it's just abundantly clear to me that they're just straight up lying. They're straight up not telling the truth to the general public. And I'm not talking about our project. I'm just talking about other projects. And it's terrible. It's sad. It saddens me that they can sleep at night doing this. But we told you guys the truth. Last night there was a power event. It wasn't a major event. They were just working on the lines. They didn't tell us about it. And yeah, it was our
Yeah, I
pleasure.
mean,
Yeah, it's our pleasure, Sky, that we were able to get you a part of this, and hopefully, with how much you've invested with us, you'll at least be able to make your money back and then some from what you lost with Argentina. And
hmm
I've heard people refer to it as Scamco now. I don't know if there's any
yeah.
news or updates with that, but
Well, the news and updates are, that they're gone.
oh, is it completely offline now? Is it completely like a dead?
I don't think it was real to begin with.
Well, I mean, I know that, but are they still trying to hustle and say, "Oh, what if we just get more
Well,
investment?"
yeah, that's a lot of these projects, and that's what sickens me is that a lot of these projects, what they'll do is they'll sell out of like NFTs, and then they'll say, "Oh, we have this problem, or we want to do this update, or we want to make this marketplace, and we need to do another round of NFTs," and then they'll, kind of do
It's a
this
clear
over and
Ponzi
over
behavior,
again.
right? So they're robbing
Yeah,
Paul to pay Peter, right?
yeah,
They have to sell a second round so they can deliver on Paul, or so they can deliver on Peter what they promised initially to everybody, which they're unable to do because of incompetence or straight up lying or inexperience or whatever. We're not doing any of that, guys. You guys have been getting like straight up paid, like, we all agreed to get you paid monthly, which is kind of easier on us and easier on you guys, and it saves in fees, especially with what's going on currently in the BTC market. Um, but yeah, we're not we're not saying, oh, let's do another project, let's do Monopoly 2.0, Sakib, so we can get more people's money because we don't have any funds to pay these guys. It's like, no, the funds, you guys get it every time, like without any hesitation.
exactly. The payout sheet's been updated. I think a few days ago. We can update the. We'll update
Yeah, I
the.
mean, we update it from time to time. Like, we're really busy guys, so we don't have time. But rest assured, everything's happening. You guys are mining and earning, and we'll let you know if there's an event. Just like we were honest, we told you about what happened last night. So last night, 20 miners lost. I'd say what, 2.5 hours, 3 hours worth of hash.
Do we need
I think
membership on it?
we're just gonna do away with the membership, Dark Lord, because we really didn't get enough. Um, really didn't get enough members to create like a back end or anything like that. Hold on just a second here. I'm gonna deal with this cat here.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you guys that you don't have to worry about renewing your membership or any of that. You guys are lifetime members, you know. If and when we decide, let's say in the next bear market, to do something again, you guys will be the first priority, first in line. Just makes things more simpler.
Sorry about that. One of my foster kitties is just having a foster kitty moment and yelling at the back door. But yeah, like Sakib said, just consider you guys all lifetime members. Like you don't need a membership to get payout or do anything because it just didn't get big enough. There's just not enough of you guys to justify the expenditure for all the other perks that I wanted to do. I wanted to throw parties for you guys and be able to do raffles and fly you guys over here and things like that. But just unfortunately, it just never got that big. It never got big enough for that to happen. But rest assured, yeah, just like Sakib said, if in the future we decide to do another project and it does get that big, then yeah, consider yourselves all just lifetime members.
hmm You'll be the OGs
You'll be the
of
OGs. That's
Monopoly.
right. You'll be the crew that when the people are like, I don't understand why this project makes so much money because this one's promised me 1,000% per day, and I know I can earn 1,000% per day, even though they have no reasonable, logical way they can explain how they're getting me 1,000% per day. But I know it's real, and I'm gonna put my money here, and you guys will be like, shut up, let me school you, little ass.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what we set out to do, Dark Lord. I mean, we were tired of just seeing these fly by night guys that are not experienced in mining get
I'm
into the
gonna
mining space.
I'm gonna close
Jeez.
up with another little tidbit, and I'm gonna say this just really open ended because it's very very new. But yesterday we held an event. We hold an event every Thursday, crypto mining in the UAE, and we had a gentleman who has been working in the let's say
Yeah.
DeFi. I don't want to use the word NFT, right? We'll say the
It's like
DeFi
meta.
space for quite some time. These for 3 years or something,
Hmm.
and they're extremely well funded. And we explained to them about our Monopoly project, and they were like, "This is exactly why we did not release our project. Is because we feel like what needs to happen in the space is there needs to be a real utility. There needs to be a real action behind what is generating and earning revenue." And he was really excited to get to know us and to cooperate with us potentially in the future. Sakib, you want to add your 2 cents to that?
Yeah. He actually reached out to me later and asked for the recommendation. They wanted to use some GPU compute, so I recommended the project that I trust in that area. But he seemed like a very very nice gentleman, and his partner is also like a Bitcoin OG. And they seemed like they wanted to do some good things in the space. So
Yeah,
we might
I
be
mean,
able
they
to work.
shared our frustration basically. They were just like, all these fly by nights. How did he put it? He said, like, I don't know, like they were promising, but there's no substance behind any of them. And he was like sick and tired of that.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, the entire like NFT craze, unless you have a
A
real
real
world asset
utility.
or
Yeah.
utility backing it, there's really no sense of just holding an NFT image.
So again, this is just 24 hours, literally. This news is 24 hours old, so it's very very early days. But if I vet these guys out, I see that they're real, they're genuine, they're serious, and they have a real project going. I will be happy to share it with you guys in the community and let you guys get involved, let you guys participate in that. There's very few people in the DeFi space that I will back or I will support. Roop is the only one right now. But this guy, if he shows to me that he is real and that he is serious, he may be another. And I'll be happy to tell you guys more about that as things go on, further down the road. But that being said, my weekend has begun. It is now 9 p.m. my time. You guys still have your Friday ahead of you. At least some of you do. Hope you guys have a great Friday and hope your weekend is awesome too. I'm going to sign off for now, and I'll see you
Um,
guys again next week.